Hello. This is my second interview video podcast that I have here. This will be going to be on YouTube and maybe an audio version. I haven't done that yet, but it's coming. Today I have Sonya Perez with me. Sonya is not just my client since late last year, but she also became my coach since I think it was May or June. We started working together and we have connected in great ways. We have a few stories to share for sure. So welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Maribel, branding and website design expert, and I'm having this conversation with clients, my coach, people that I know, that I want to share with you, all these women, amazing women that I met through my networking, through my work, women of color, migrant women who have connected with, not just at the business level, but some sort of personal background, different levels, personal levels, let's say. So this is Sonya Perez. Sonya, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be able to chat and share our conversation with your community. I know a lot of times we talk and we're like, oh, this is so good. We need to share this out. So it's fun to finally record it and have
Yes, I know. Thank you. Thank you. So I want to start all these interviews with a little bit of your story, not only your credentials, you're a coach, your expertise, but also your background. Where are you coming from? Your family, where are you living? Have you moved around the world? Tell us a little bit about your story.
Yeah. Well, I am Chicana, which means Mexican heritage or Hispanic heritage in the U.S. My parents and grandparents were born in the U.S., but my heritage and my Mexican roots are very important to me and has always been important to our family. And I think what's interesting and what could be helpful for newer immigrants is to understand the history of Mexicans in America. We forget that Mexico used to be twice as big and that so much of the US used to be Mexico. But a lot of that history has been kind of written out or forgotten. And even myself, I didn't grow up with it, understanding and learning Chicana history.
Yeah.
But learning it in my adult life and understanding more about where I come from and my roots has really helped me just feel rooted as an individual and in my ethnicity and in my upbringing. So yeah, my grandparents were migrant farmers and orange packers from Nebraska and California and Texas. So that is a part of my heritage. I was born in Denver, grew up in Denver, and now I live in the Midwest, or I live in Minnesota now. So moved around with my husband and for school. So been experienced that, had the privilege of traveling globally in high school and college. And so I really consider myself a global citizen. I think when we expand our mind and have the opportunity to experience being an outsider and understanding that that can actually support us in really powerful ways. So I'm as you mentioned, a coach. I help people with their mindset, their emotional capacity, and their embodied wellness to be the leaders and the individuals they want to be. So love the neuroscience and the understanding of what influences how we feel confident, what influences how we show up in different spaces and how we feel. And yeah, that is a little bit about me.
Good. So were your grandparents the ones who migrated from Mexico to the States? That's how your family moved?
My great-grandparents.
Great-grandparents.
So I have my great-grandparents. It's funny, my husband is a more recent immigrant than I am.
And so,
okay. A lot of times people say, oh, go back to where you come from. And I'm like, this is where we were from. So many Latinos in the US are from these lands.
Yes.
Native people are from this lands. Latino is mixed of indigenous and Spanish roots. And so I know I have a grandfather from Tarasco or Pachuca, Indian from Mexico. I also have a grandfather that is Spaniard from Mexico.
Wow.
And so, yeah, they all came in different times and from different places, but my grandparents were born here. And yet we still felt like outsiders. And so I think that is part of the history we need to understand. We need to understand racism, colorism, and that impacts on our identity. It doesn't go away in a generation. So how do we
Yes.
face it head on?
Yeah. And you mentioned that you are in your adult life started learning more about your story and but how this is impacting your work or the person that you are.
Well, I think it was in college. I went to a private university and I was given a flyer around, you know, to come join the Office of Multiculturalism,
Mm,
this several years ago. So learning, okay, I'm different. I mean, I already kind of knew our family grew up in or I grew up in like white spaces. So I knew that we had a different culture, different ways of being. Economically, we're at a different position. Um, so and I knew my roots. I knew that we're Mexican American, but going to university and then being told that like, oh, you belong in the Office of Multicultural Studies, like these are your groups and this is your people. Um, I guess just a part of identity development. We're all figuring out who am I, right? That's like
mhm.
for me, that was a question of like, who am I? What am I about? Um, And, so I think that that question always kind of wove through my education, my international travels. I grew up in the church and was doing missionary travels. And when people were talking about culture shock when we went to Latin America, I was like, I didn't feel that, like
Yeah.
questioning um, just that experience and who, like what makes me. And then in grad school, I went and studied organizational change and learning. I had been in a nonprofit organization, and I say I'm a lifelong idealist, wanted to be a part of making the world a better place. I had been exposed to global poverty and inequity and injustice, and so um, wanted to use my gifting and my skills to fight that injustice. So I studied business and econ in undergrad, and then working within organizations and feeling the struggle of just humanness of trying to work together
Mm,
and realizing that there were better ways. There were tools and ways of engaging teams. There was ways of building organizations that was more human-centered, that was more effective in accessing all of our potential and how to be more creative, how to come up with better ideas by creating psychological safety within your teams. So that was what I was doing in grad school and also learning about coaching and leadership. I was getting certified as a leadership development coach. And my sister gave me a book by Juana Borges called The Power of Latino Leadership. So it was outside of my syllabus, and I read it, and I was just like, oh, this explains so much. It outlines different aspects of the Latino culture and how we bring those into leadership. And it just, I say it was like it was like a warm tortilla on my heart. It was just like, oh my God, this is what I was missing. This is why I felt out of place in some of these more traditional approaches to leadership, management, hierarchy, don't be friends with your team, um, different ways of control within leadership that I was reading about versus in the Latino culture, where are we people? We have these deeper roots and connections. Like we care about the whole. That's a part of who we are. And as I'm learning, that's actually an indigenous way of integrating with the land and with each other. It's this
yeah.
connection of
It's a
community.
community.
It's a community. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is allowed in leadership. I thought it was just like something that I had to struggle against. It was like wearing an uncomfortable jacket when I was trying to like be a leader. And I read
Yeah.
that book and was like, I'm allowed to be me in my culture and honor and see how these things are actually an asset. And as I've continued that was over a decade ago, continued to understand Latino leadership, realizing that there are ways that are really needed right now in our
Mhm.
leadership. Leaders
Yeah.
that listen to the whole, that don't assume that they know it all, and are listening to the people in the community. Like there are so many aspects of Latino and Indigenous leadership that I think is needed in this moment for the work of healing, so much brokenness and facing challenges, global situation, inequity. There's so many things that we want to go after that I think with a hierarchical dominant approach, it's like we're using the tools that got us into this mess. So that's a little bit of background on my philosophy around leadership, but being able to integrate all of who I am has helped me step forward and like building my business as a coach and embrace just all of who I am rather than saying I don't fit like this mold. When we think that we have to be a certain way to do business or be a certain way to lead, it's really exhausting and fear-based. And knowing the brain science, it's like, oh, that makes sense. It's like I'm not using all of my capacity. I'm stuck in this like, what if I do it wrong mentality. And that's what I love helping people do is like shift how they're thinking, shift how they're feeling so that we can really make the impact that we know that we can make. And that's just, I just feel so lucky to be able to do the work that I do.
Yeah, and I am so lucky to have found you. Or we found each other somehow. I can remember how. I think it was from Elevate, the Elevate network. We connected a long time ago, and then you needed some help with your website. You came to me. We started working together, and then you became my coach. And it's so interesting to hear your story because we didn't talk about your story before. We have talked a lot, but about the coaching. But what you mentioned about when you discovered that the way we Latinos work and what we can bring to the table in leadership, it kind of clicked something on me because it makes sense since we are, well, I'm Latina as well from Chile. I grew up in a big family. There is, the grandma, the grandpa, the patriarchs, matriarchs of the family, and there these aunties and uncles and the cousins, and we all work together. There is a family gathering. There is the matriarch managing everything, but everyone is working around her. And that's how you learn how to, work as a community, as you said. And that's how I also try to manage my team, not as, okay, I'm the boss and you have to do what what I say. And there is kind of a division between the team members. No, what I did, what I've been trying to do with my team is I'm bringing people that I connect with, actually, not just someone that I can do the technical work, but also someone that can connect with me in different levels, but also with the rest of the team. So kind of building a family or a community where all we can grow together, work together, and achieve the individual goals, but as a team.
Collective,
As a collective, yeah. Oh, so good. So you had a story they wanted to share.
Yeah, so it's so fun. We did connect on this level, and one of the things I was struggling with my website. I had gotten a website, but I didn't really know what was going on with it, and I was like, let me connect with you and see what you could do to help me. And I remember like framing, I was like, it's like that messy closet that I just don't even know where to start. I was like, I don't even know how to do it. And being able to have this connection and feel like, oh, you've got my back. And to be able to recruit that help, right? Like we don't have to do it all. And when you're a solopreneur and starting out, you feel like you have to do everything yourself. You're Googling everything from like how to register your business to build an email list to like delivering the product, whatever it is. And so it was really great to connect and be like, I need help. And then you're like, I got you. The funny thing that like actually the moment where we, from where I was your client, and then how you became my client was, it's actually funny because I felt like I was totally failing. Like your team had been asking me for certain information. I think we were writing some blog posts, and I just like, it kept being that dirty closet. Like I hadn't coach myself on how to engage that part of my business, and I was avoiding it. And I think that other business owners can relate. There's things that we're like, no, we should do. And then it just becomes this heavy weight in our mind. And I knew that that's what this was becoming. I was like, I'd see your email and be like, oh, I need to respond, but I don't know how, like, and we all have those people or that thing
Yes.
that we avoid in our business.
Yeah.
And I think maybe you had reached out, and I was like, well, I was driving my son to something. We had a long drive, and I was like, well, let's just hop on the phone. And I was like, I need to get over this. And so I just was super vulnerable. I was like, I'm sorry. I think I'm like probably one of your worst clients. I'm not responding to you. And I felt just so bad. I thought that you probably didn't like me because I was so bad at responding. And it's funny knowing like, oh, we tell ourselves these stories. And so bringing
Yes.
awareness to like, that was a story that now I look back and be like, there was a story going on in my head that was causing heaviness and shame about not doing it right. And I was just really vulnerable and was like, here's how I'm feeling. How can we help? We kind of shifted. That's where we shift to the care plan, I
Yeah.
think. And I think you had also shared something that was going on in your business. And then I was able to, I like thought about it. I was like, I think I could help her with coaching. And it was interesting just to see kind of how I could have stayed in the like staying small. And I know I've done this in the past and other people do this. They allow the emotion of I'm not enough. I'm not doing it right. Who am I to help this person? And we stay small and we don't follow up and we don't reach out.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, I know I can help her and I like hanging out with her. So like, I'm just going to write an email and be like, hey, do you want to do a discovery call? And I remember pushing myself to do that. And just to encourage all of you business
Really?
owners listening, that sometimes it's like seeing the emotion and also being like, and I believe that I have something to offer. And I
Yeah.
think this is where like beautiful business transactions happen is like when we don't hide from the gifting that we've been given and we offer it. And I didn't, and I knew that like we would stay, I would stay your client. If it wasn't something that you were interested in, it wouldn't be a problem. Whereas like without having a managed mind, I could have been like, oh, will that make it awkward? Like we tell ourselves all these stories that limit
I
ourselves
know.
from our
Yes.
potential.
Yeah.
And so, I have a coach as well. And like, we've been learning on just taking action and making offers when we
Mm-hmm.
know they're like, think about the people that you know you can help.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm just going to write her an email. And then you had a discovery call and it was beautiful. And we've had so much fun working together.
Yes.
But I think like, what if I hadn't just been willing to get outside of my comfort zone, to
Mm-hmm.
be vulnerable, to face the things that I thought, oh my gosh, I'm failing at. And we all have these feelings and to be able to like overcome them. And then even in working to be reminded like, yeah, I am able to help people create like incredible transformations in their business. That together we can shift to joy, to looking at our thoughts that aren't necessarily true, but feel like very, very real. And in
Mm-hmm.
those coaching conversations, it's like, oh, wait a second. There's so often you're like, I don't, sometimes you'll come to the call and be like, I don't know about this. And then we talk about it. You keep talking. I was like, sounds like you do know. And you're like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know.
But I mean, that's so true with all of us, I think. And that's the power of
Yeah.
coaching and like vulnerable relationships where we say, like, help me see what I'm not seeing here in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Help me reconnect with my potential, reconnect with my power that society's stories, that my own fears is just kind of covering,
Yeah.
So we get to just pull that back and be like, yeah, we're strong and we're having fun. Like, what if business is fun and like
Yeah.
re-bringing that in? Because then what if you can't do it wrong and just go for it? And yeah, more often than not, it doesn't, when you go for it, it works out.
Yeah. Yeah. There are a couple of things that I want to share. So one is I've been in business for 10 years and I've tried a few coaches in my day, but I never found something or someone that really fueled my, how could I say it, that need of, or that feeling, oh yes, she's really making an impact on my life or in my day-to-day, etc. But with you, it's been totally different. And I think it's because you have this holistic way of coaching. It's not just about let's look at your business or just let's look at your life in separate ways. It's everything just one thing. And something that we keep talking once and once again is about joy and the need of having fun or to rest. Allow yourself to have fun and find joy in different things, not only in your business, but outside your business as well. So since we started working together, well, a few things kind of aligned for me, and we talk about it on our calls. This year has been amazing, and one of the highlights has been having you as my coach, and having these weekly calls with someone that really puts you in, in the right mindset to face your day to day and remind you to rest when you get sick or shifting your thoughts. I always remember I in my day to day I always think the what if. I mean, I always say, oh, this is happening in my life and it's maybe because of this. And you said, but what if it wasn't like that? But what if it's not that? But what if? And that what if is kind of make a difference right away, you know? Yeah, the what if.
Yeah. It just opens our mind to new
Yes.
possibilities. And I think we all have so much capacity inside of us. And depending on your upbringing and what you've been exposed to, you have a certain framework, the way you see the world, what you believe is possible, and it's so interesting. Coming from a lower economic background and then being in spaces like where there's people that didn't have those challenges, like some of the freedom that I saw, like they just like assumed that they would have money, that there was an assumption of getting the job. There's like different ways of thinking when you don't have a background of scarcity, and whether it's not just your family or just like your heritage and lineage, having that coming from a people that had to survive has that, it like they're depending on your family experience, so you have that within you of like, I need to protect myself. I need to work harder. And so versus someone who doesn't have that same experience, there's more space for capacity, more space for, well, yeah, I just go and get a loan and build this business and it's going to work out. If they saw their parents do that, right? So if they saw their parents do things and succeed, or their grandparents, and they were able to make a lot of money, then you have that framework that, oh, this is possible.
Yes.
And this is where people say representation really matters. And you hear that and say that, and then when you see representation, you're like, oh, that's the whole nother level of like, oh, I think that is possible.
Yeah.
It's hard for it's like, if you never saw the color purple and someone's like, imagine purple, like you have nothing to draw from. And so if someone says, imagine making $200,000 this year, and you're like, where would that come from? I don't even know. Like, it's
That's not
hard
possible.
to have that concept.
Yes.
And so this is also where community is super important for us to imagine and also like push our edges and then say like, yes, this is possible for you too, to start experiencing what that would be like. I think we've talked about, what if you could make money and work less? Like, that's a new concept. I think in our culture, it's like you just work harder and work like that. And that's a value. Oh my goodness. I love that I can work hard. I love that that's a part of like who I am. And what if it didn't have to be so hard? It's the what if.
What if?
Okay, so what if I could have fun and make
Yeah.
money? Like that's when we open our mind to like new ideas and it's not just cognitively, it's when you start to believe it, start to see it, that this is possible. This is possible for me too.
Yeah.
I'm going to release my fears. I'm going to acknowledge them, say that this is different. We've talked about imposter syndrome, and you're like, I think it's always going to be there. And I was like, what if it's not? Like, what if we are, like, what if we belong everywhere that we choose to be?
Yeah.
And then then your brain gets to go think about that. Like, is that true? Like at first, like sometimes when you get a new idea, so there's this like progression
Yeah.
of like when we're going after big goals, there's this idea, a new idea will enter. Well, maybe I could write a book.
Hmm.
Um, and maybe it comes into your brain and you're like, that's impossible. I'm dyslexic. Like that feels impossible. And then you're like, well, maybe I've written a newsletter for, a year or three. Maybe I could. And then it moves from impossible to possible. And you want to move it to probable, like this could probably happen, to where it gets to inevitable. Of course, I will do this. And so before, like the cool thing when you have an idea, and even if it feels impossible, making $1 million, being on Oprah, whatever it is, like this, that feels impossible. The cool thing is, before, even though it feels impossible, at least it's in your brain. Because
Hmm.
there's so many people that don't even have the idea. And so you want to take that idea and move it. Like, well, what would I need to do to make that possible? And you move the idea farther along. Well, I might need to have, more visibility. I might need to have a strong website with SEO, you know, moving on. And you take action to
Yeah.
move that impossible, crazy idea to inevitable.
Hmm.
And that's how we actually like tap into our potential. We take these impossible ideas and we move them, I think, collectively together as a community to say, like, yeah, I'm not, don't have a book deal yet. I've been writing a newsletter weekly, which has been on my journey, and I'm having fun with it. And have had to do like also some coaching and processing around those
Great
fears.
newsletter, by the way. You should sign up.
It's fun. I love like, and that was the one thing I used to like have all these ideas about what it should be, it shouldn't be. And then I was like, I'm kind of an artist. And so I always like try to include different and
Yeah.
images and I started having fun with it. I was like, what if I just had fun with it? And
Yeah.
that helped me make it happen.
That's one of the things that it brought me back to my YouTube channel, to these videos. I did videos last year. They were great. I really enjoyed them. But I stopped doing it because I just got busy. And then, you start looking at the numbers. Oh, it's not very good. They say that it's really difficult to grow your audience via YouTube, or you have to do in certain ways. Your thumbnail should look like this. Your video should be this length or blah. So many you should, that it takes you out of the joy. Like, oh, what am I doing? If I don't do it that way, I'm doing it wrong. So I'm not gonna do it. So I
Yeah.
stopped doing it. But I did wanted to go back to it just because I loved doing the videos. Plus, this year I've got my biggest client ever because of my YouTube videos. When I was referred first, they got my name and they researched me, watched my YouTube videos. They loved them. And they came to me 90% convinced that they want me to work with me. And they said, we watch your videos. We love you, you know? So now I'm doing this, not with a goal of, I want to reach 1,000 people in a month or 6 months. No, I just want people that get to me organically. Oh, you have YouTube videos. Oh, I'm going to watch it, so they can just get to know me. And the same for, yeah, get to know other ladies that I like yourself and put you up there. And yeah, just try to connect the people that you already know. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And I love doing this. I don't have scripts, or there is no intro or outro. There is no specific music, or it's just lovely conversation, recorded and shared with the world.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't let fear stop you from doing what you love. When it comes
Mhm.
from the heart
Yeah.
and you're here in service, whatever, whatever it is, it's so powerful. This
Mhm.
is the environment that I want to do business in.
Me
I want to
too.
be in this
Yeah.
flow,
Yeah.
right? Like, um, yeah, we want to connect. And what's so cool about the internet is that we can connect with people. Like we aren't stuck with just the local person, we
Yeah.
can connect with a global community that is wanting to create change with so many different services and ways of, yeah, supporting each other. It's really fun to be a part of this
Mhm.
community. Um, that just is about, service and connection. And the cool thing is like in that and selling, like actually creating businesses, we're able to take care of our families and communities. And like
Mhm.
when we make more money, then more people are supported.
Yeah.
Um, where I'm able to hire more people to support me. And that that energy, that flow is so powerful. I was just getting coaching on like my own fears around growing my business. And
Yeah.
it's like money, we can't be scared of money because it's a resource that actually that gets to flow through us and flow to what we
Mhm.
care about. And like
Yeah.
opening ourselves up to that. Um, yeah, it's so fun.
Yeah. Powerful. And that ripple effect that you mentioned,
Yeah.
that if you succeed and bring more people with you, like your team or your clients, it's just, yeah, a great ripple effect of positive things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful to have you on my team, my website team.
Yeah.
Keep me up there.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good. It's still a lot to do, obviously, always, always, always.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, but anyway, if there's anything else that you want to share with the people that are watching, you are doing some really good workshops lately. Are you doing that again?
Yeah. So, I have a series holistic leadership coaching master classes. Yeah. Let's see.
Ah,
I'm
yeah, yeah,
trying to remember.
master classes.
Master classes. So, the last one coming up in November, the first week in November, or is the 7th, 14th? It's on my beautiful website.
We
And
put
that,
everything there. Yeah.
yeah. It's about embodied leadership. So I have that workshop. And then also I have this really cool thing called Rejuvenation Community.
Ah,
And we
yes.
do monthly calls. It's the second Saturday and third Thursday, 25 minutes just to pause, just to like reconnect, breathe, remind yourself that you're okay. I have a little reading or little motivational thing that we share about and help us feel rejuvenated in our work and in our mind and our emotions so that we can go back and do the work um, that we really want to do and create an impact. So there's a WhatsApp group that has, conversation and encouragement. And then we also have these calls. So, and then my newsletter, which is also really fun. So get connected to my
Yes.
newsletter, this community, a lot of ways to connect with me. And then if you're like, I think maybe I need a one-on-one coach, I do free discovery calls where we get to just map out and explore, like, is this something that would be a good fit for where you want to go? And it's no obligation, but just really fun to have my eyes and my experience on your current situation. And I think it'll be really encouraging. So you can sign up for a free discovery call on my website as well.
Yeah, perfect. We're going to share the links, all your links on the description, obviously. And any last thing that I want to ask all my guests, if there is one tip that you can give us, um, what would it be? A tip for today or this week?
Yeah. Take time to check in with yourself, whether that's just noticing your breath. I always like to say, let your breath hold you. It's always supporting you, whether you're noticing or not. But give yourself time to maybe journal out. Maybe it's gratitude in your morning, or maybe it's just writing out like, I'm feeling whatever it is, let it out of your mind so that, because if it's, I'm feeling like I'm failing people, I'm feeling like I want to follow up and I'm not. Write it out and then find the truth. I'm here to serve. This product matters. These things matter. Like being able to see your thoughts gives you more power over them. So take that time to check in with yourself. Maybe it's like, I've been working really hard and I need a nap. And that's okay too.
Yeah.
Right? Give yourself permission. Sometimes we just don't check in with ourselves to see what it is that we need to support us. So we just kind of like go. So take time. You matter. Your mission matters. And be well.
So good, especially as women, we tend to do it all.
Yeah.
And feeling the obligation, I have to do everything first and then I'll rest. But then it's just 10 p.m. at night and you didn't rest. So yeah, great tip. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Sonia. It's been a pleasure. So good to have you here. And we'll leave all your links so people can connect with you, find your website. You hang out on Instagram, right?
Yeah, Instagram and LinkedIn is where you can find it.
Okay. Yeah, we'll share all the links. And yeah, please follow Sonia. She has a great newsletter. She has a great Instagram account. And yeah, go and have a discovery call with her. You won't regret it. I love Sonia. I've been working with her. It's been amazing for me as a person and for my business as well. So thank you so much, Sonia.
Thank you so much. And definitely get on her care package if you feel like your website needs support. It just takes a giant weight off your mind and then you can feel good
The messy
about
closet.
going forward.
Help you with your messy closet. I love that. All right. Thank you. And thank you very much for watching. And I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye. Bye, Sonia.